people. It's Friday. And I can tell you this Friday, I wish I was fucking drinking with you. I do. If I was drinking this Friday, I'd be sitting in the darkest, dingiest, diviest bar I could possibly find by myself. I'd just be ordering double gin and soda and a beer, please. Double gin and soda and a beer, please. And I'd just be sitting there for fucking hours. And the other people in the bar will be like, why is that guy crying in the corner? Do you know why he's crying? He hasn't stopped crying for 3 hours. And I'd overhear them and I'd be like, you wouldn't understand. You wouldn't understand. That's how I feel. It has been a brutal week. That void has opened up this week and I've got nothing to fill it with. Anyway, it's Friday. But how was your week? What did you do this week? Was it the same as every other week? Was Monday an exact copy of Tuesday and Tuesday an exact copy of Wednesday and Wednesday the exact copy of Thursday? And now it's Friday and you feel like you got to break the shackles. I need to live. Now you're turning to the only thing that makes you feel alive. Alcohol. I know exactly how you feel. Anyway, it's fucked up Fridays today. You're getting a story from one of the listeners. This guy is an Australian guy. And his story is the archetypical suburban gangster loser story. If you're a teenager in the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe all the way up the 2010s or whatever they called that fucking decade, and you were a white loser from suburbia aged between 14 and 16, this is your story. So here we go. This story was sent in by Miles. Already sounds like a loser. Okay, so here we go. This was when I was 18. For starters, this story should not have been lived older than the age of 14, 15, 16. Older than the age of 16, this story, you've really got to have a good hard look at yourself. This was when I was 18. I went over to my psychopath mate's house for a drink. We drank a good amount of booze. I was getting real keen to go out somewhere, and he said he needed to finish his cans. Not his cans of drink, his cans of spray paint. He said he needed to finish them in case he got raided. Another thing you had to pretend to do as a white kid between 14 and 16 in the suburbs, you had to pretend the police were always onto you. They knew you by name. You were a killer. At any point you could have snapped. You were always under surveillance. The cops didn't know your dad was an investment banker and you went to a private school. The cops didn't know that. All the cops knew is you were a threat to society in your cul-de-sac. So we went down the street about 150 meters and there was a 4-ton truck. My mate had told me he had done some graffiti on the truck and the old man who owned the truck was sussing him out. The old man had had the graffiti removed, and so now my mate felt he had to redo the graffiti to even up the karma. So he did a throwy on the truck. I haven't actually heard someone say throwy since I was 16 and I was an amateur graffiti artist in the suburbs under police surveillance. Like a stone cold motherfucking killer. It makes me feel sick remembering how black I used to think I was. I was trans black when I was 16. So where was I? So he did a throwy on the truck. I kept a lookout for the old man. He got rid of the cans in a bush so the pigs couldn't charge him for anything when he got raided. These fucking delusional cunts. Then after that, we had nothing to do. My mate suggested we steal the keys to his mum's Jeep and go cruising around. Exactly what I fucking thought. Steal his mum's Jeep. That killer stole his mum's Jeep. What was this killer's mum doing to get a Jeep? Was she selling crack out of her garage or was she an executive for Chanel? My mate suggested we steal the keys to his mum's Jeep and go cruising around. My mate didn't know how to drive, but he had confidence. So I had confidence in him and said he should drive. All right, Miles, that was sweet. I'm starting to like you, kid. There was a year 12 formal after party happening for some high school kids in the year below us that we weren't invited to. Yeah, we know you weren't invited to the year 12 formal. You didn't really have to tag that on the end. We assumed that. So we went there for a bit, but it was full of nerds who were closing up shop at 12, so we left. We were also smoking bongs the whole time. Yeah, we know. We know you were. We went to the beach, smoked some bongs, and then started to make our way back. We were coming down the main road and there was a booze bus. For the international listeners, a booze bus in Australia is where they do the alcohol testing for the drivers. You've got to be 0.05, which is about a beer and a half. Luckily, we were in a Jeep and were able to drive over the median strip to chuck a U-turn. I turned the music off so I could focus on giving directions. Hoon it. Turn left up here. Hoon it. We eventually decided we were safe. We were happy to get away, so my mate started fully hooning it. We were going about 150 through the streets, veering from lane to lane like mad cunts. But then he lost control and the Jeep started skidding out. My mate slammed on the brakes and we started spinning out. Luckily, we were able to come safely to a stop, but we were facing oncoming traffic, stretched across 2 lanes, and the car wouldn't start. We were trying to start the car, but it wouldn't start. Then we realized it wouldn't start in drive. So we put it in park and fucked off. We parked the car back at his house, and everything was completely fine. Except a few weeks later, his mum got all these speeding fines and red light fines in the mail, and he told her it was me. And she was already pissed off at me for some other shit. Wow. So at the end of the story, that cold-blooded psychopath killer ratted you out because he was scared of his mummy. That story is every single Australian no-hoper's teenage story. If you saw an Australian overseas, just go up to them and just ask them, just go, can you tell me that story about the time you stole your mum's car and did some graffiti and drove? And they'll be like, how did you know? Just tell them Boyle sent you. All right, that's it for tonight. Done. Enjoy your weekend. Do some shots for me. I'm not drinking, but I fucking wish I was this Friday. And send in some stories for next week. Hit me up on social medias. I am at Boyle Comedy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, just go rate, review. Just go rate it 5 stars if you enjoy it. Review it. Subscribe. Do all the shit. Anyway, that's me done tonight. Fucking say a hider.